Hi everyone, Robert here from Design to Fine. This is the next tutorial of the toolbar series. Today I will be covering the free lasso tools, which are the Lasso Tool, the Polygonal Lasso Tool, and the Magnetic Lasso Tool. Now, as the first one we come to in the toolbar panel is the Lasso Tool, I will cover this first. So, how do we actually use the Lasso Tool? Well, it's as simple as creating a starting point. So I'll come down here, and then if you click and drag along the selection you wish to make, you'll notice that this actually makes the selection for you. Now, you might also notice that this isn't accurate at all, and if you're looking to make 100% accurate selections, then this clearly isn't the one to use, because to be honest, the Lasso tool is only really used for making rough selections or quick selections around something like so, but it's not really used for accuracy in any kind of way, because you have to continuously click and drag, and therefore your hand isn't going to be able to be that accurate, especially around an image that has a lot of contours or crevices. So if you are looking at a little bit more accuracy, then that brings us on to the next lasso tool, which is the Polygonal Lasso tool. Now, similarly to the Lasso tool, you just have to create a starting point, like so. But the difference here is that we actually make the selection ourselves by clicking little points along the selection we wish to make. So along the edge of the petal in this case. Though, if it was you doing this, you would be zooming in and taking a great deal of more time getting into all the little crevices and contours around the petal in this case, or if you're using a more complex image yourself, but it can be quite time consuming to do this. So it is a good bit more accurate than the Lasso tool itself, though if I got to near the very end and something messed up, I would be very frustrated, as I'm sure you would be too. So it wouldn't be the first pick of these free lasso tools that I would choose. Though if I wasn't too bothered about it being 100% accurate and it was just something that was a decent selection, then this would be the tool I would probably use. So I'll just zoom in there to show you how this turned out. So as you can see, part of the background is selected and part of the petal itself is selected, which isn't great, but it isn't too bad either compared to this little first lasso tool. Though if you are looking 100%, or at least as close as possible that you can get to it, then that would bring us to the last lasso tool, which is the Magnetic Lasso tool. Similarly to the other lasso tools, you just have to create a starting point, and once you've done that, it's just a case of dragging your cursor along the edge of the selection you wish to make, and as you'll notice, there are now little boxes appearing along the selection behind your cursor, and these are anchor points. This is something that the magnetic tool generates itself, so I'm not actually clicking to make these points, and they're more like little references, if you like, because if you go off the page or off your selection and it makes a point, say like that, and then continues on, which you don't want, it's quite forgiving in the sense that you can press backspace and it will go back an anchor point, each individual anchor point at a time, which is very handy. You can also click if you want, and click along the selection yourself, though it's pretty accurate if you just let it do its own thing. You would only really click if it goes into a tight area where the magnetic tool is finding it hard to pick up the edge of your selection, which then it can come in useful. As much as this is very good and quite accurate for making selections, it's only really effective mostly if the image you're using has a high contrast, as if you use a blurry image, which you can't really tell the edge from the background, then it generally tends to bleed into the background as well, which is very frustrating, and you're not going to get great results at all. But as this image that I'm using is pretty good, it's more of a macro shot, so the petals are standing out from the background essentially. If I just zoom in here, as you can tell, it isn't 100%, but it's a great deal better than the Polygonal Lasso tool I showed you before there, and I'd say maybe 90%, 95% accurate compared to the other tools anyway. This is the tool that I would choose if I was selecting an object within an image anyway, personally. And that's all there is to it. That's the free lasso tools that I have shown you now. So just to sum them up, the normal lasso tool is good for quick selections but lacks accuracy. The Polygonal Lasso tool is good for making more accurate selections but isn't 100%, and it can be time consuming. And the Magnetic Lasso tool is fairly accurate and quick, but only really works best with high contrast images. So I hope this tutorial was helpful to you, and if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe or leave a comment. Thanks.